Okay, the first candidate to speak, Ed Graham Hyde.
In the lead up and during my campaign, I've discovered that many students aren't sure what the SAC is or what the SU as a whole does for them. The SAC is there to represent them and their voice and speak on their behalf. I believe the best way to engage these students is by meeting them on their turf and being relatable to them. It's with this in mind that if elected, I would like to set up mobile SACs around campus in various different school buildings. Next year is going to be an important one for engaging these students. As mentioned by pretty much every candidate standing in the election, students are starting to pay £9,000 fees. And although I don't want to go into this in detail, they could potentially be getting free gym membership, they could be getting a bursary of potentially over £1,000. The standard of living between current students and those students will be drastically different. There are also cuts to funding for some courses, and therefore some courses won't exist as of September. The university is a business, and the president of this SU needs to make sure that it carries on conducting itself in a way that is equal to all of its consumers, and that's you, the electorate. I would also like to set up an alumni office within the SU to ensure that graduates from this university are still able to access the same level of services here at UCLan. That would better facilitate us as a one-stop shop for all matters that students need help with. I've sat and thought about these details for the last couple of months. You could say I've used my head. So I'd like to ask you to use your head and vote for Ed for president.
New students will face tuition fees of £9,000, something that this union campaigned against. The UCLan Advantage is being introduced to give support to these students who will find they are leaving university with mortgage-style debts. While the UCLan Advantage is good in principle, the implementation leaves a lot to be desired. Personal advisors could replace SLOs, bursaries which eclipse those received by current students, and free services which current students will have to pay for out of their loans they receive to help them get by. Finance should not be a barrier to participation. I'm backing fairness for you and ensuring you won't be forgotten. We must be safe too. Hate crime is on the rise and we must fight it, reverse this trend and beat it for good. The union is now a hate crime reporting centre, a positive step, but we must transform the union into a community which will listen, support and tackle this shocking issue together, turning solitude into unity, threat into opportunity and fear into strength. I'm backing a safe, secure and supportive campus for all students. We must also support students who want to use resources such as our multi-faith centre. Currently, students are locked out for 15 hours a day. Students should be able to access these services when they need to, not when the university wants them to. I'm backing more access and will campaign for a 24-hour keycard system. Our postgrads and partner college students are also being forgotten about. I know how hard it is to get the support as a postgrad and the problems facing those studying outside this campus. So I'm backing our forgotten students and ensuring you won't be forgotten too. I'm backing students who don't feel safe on our campuses, and I'm backing a union that's fit for purpose and that is driven forward at every opportunity by experienced, passionate and strong leadership. If you back them too, then back Bradshaw to be your next SU president. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Mark and I'm campaigning to be elected as your SU president. As you all know, the coalition government has introduced radical changes to the higher education system for the next academic year, the most controversial of which, as you all know again, being the raised cap on tuition fees. UCLan has announced that the new full-time graduates starting in September will pay £9,000, whilst continuing students will pay just under £3,500. Your SU needs a president who will hold the university to their promise in that your future is their commitment, by providing you with the advantage you need to thrive in the career of your choice, through quality teaching, first-class facilities, support and links to researchers and employers. It's time to work with the university to deliver its student experience, but to still hold it accountable in its failings. I intend to do this by ensuring that the UCLan Advantage, as everybody has mentioned, does not see continuing undergraduates forgotten about, and that every student, regardless of the level of tuition fees that they pay, are given access to the same opportunities. By ensuring that students know who their course reps are, know who their school reps are, and know how to contact them. by ensuring that mature students, part-time students, commuting students and postgraduate students are fairly represented, by ensuring that students that study at one of the UCLan's partner institutions are fairly represented, and by improving the quality and the standard of academic feedback. Your Students' Union is a democracy. It's an organisation that's open and responsive to student-led change. If you agree that your SU needs passionate and confident voices to ensure that changes in higher education are student-centred, and that your Student Affairs Committee are collectively responsible for promoting and defending the rights of students, then please vote Mark Bickley as your Students' Union President and help UCLan SU step up to the mark. Thank you.
Okay, so don't worry, we're nearly finished now. Okay, so my name's Lauren Ashcroft, if you don't know me. Okay, I believe equality among students is fundamental. If elected, I will ensure that when the 9K students arrive, we will not be forgotten about. And if they get incentives and benefits, so will we. I believe that everyone has a right to education. Due to UCLan's new fees, this may prevent many people from pursuing their dreams and careers. Therefore, I want to make more bursaries and scholarships available. I will continue to fight against rising fees. Although we cannot decrease the fees, I will take a strong stance and I will be adamant that the money is put to good use, spent on us. If elected, I would like to improve resources and facilities, have students present on interview panels. After all, we are paying their wages. To me, everyone is equally important and should be recognised and have a voice. Vote Lauren Ashcroft #1 for President, and I will ensure UCLan lets us have our way, and it can be the best, and will be the best that it can be. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, candidates. We will have 4 questions. I've been asked, can I ask James Hodgson to come to the stage and submit a 4th question? Steph, Rennie, can you take it? Do you want to? Okay, you want to ask it at the end? That's fine. Okay. All right. So the first question: do you think having a strong affiliation with a political society will prevent you from representing all student views? Okay, Ed first.
I personally don't think that it will stop you from being able to represent student views. I think if you have a member of parliament in this area, for example, that's their job to represent all of the views of the people in their constituency. I personally, I'm a Labour supporter. I'm not going to massively go on that trend. But no, in summary, I don't think it will stop you from being able to represent students.
I'm going to sound like I'm on a thingy, but I absolutely agree with Ed. I don't think I'm the chair of UCLan Labour students. I set it up this year, but I don't think that means that I'll only represent people who are Labour supporters. I'm here to represent the entire student body, no matter what their political affiliation. And that's the job as a sabbatical officer. You represent everyone, not just the students who voted for you.
Well, it's definitely important for the students' union to have affiliations with local politics, but I agree with the other two that having an affiliation with a particular party is not going to prevent other students from airing their views off or having their views listened to. Like I said, the SU is a democracy, and we'll strive to listen to everybody and to take everybody's views on board. I personally don't have a political preference, but I'm open-minded, and I will take on board anything that anybody has to say.
Number 4. So I agree basically with what they've said. I don't think it is important, really. It's down to the students, although help from political things is good. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. The current president has supported LGBT in various campaigns. How are you going to support them and other liberation groups? Starting with Laura.
Okay, so basically we need to get more awareness for one, because I don't know how much awareness there is about it already. So with more awareness about this, and also maybe getting course reps involved, like to give feedback to the students and the classes, so then more people are aware.
Personally, at the moment, I think there's a massive divide between the Students' Union and the university. I don't know how many people saw it, but about 40 minutes ago, the university updated their Facebook status saying something about a Channel 4 programme when the SU elections question time is going on at the moment, which is sort of one of the biggest things for students at the moment. So I think by increasing awareness through the university, not just the SU, will definitely help by supporting not just the LBGT but all UCLan societies.
Liberation is at the heart of everything that I do. I've been on the LGBT committee a couple of years ago. I've been to NUS Disabled Students Conference. I was on their national committee. But I also believe it's really important that these groups are autonomous and they decide their own policy and decide what they want to do. And our job is to support, not to dictate. And that's what I will do as president, support these groups in what they want to do and making sure that their campaigns and their ideas get out to students.
Yeah, I'd just like to just suggest the same thing, really. If I'm voted in, then I need to represent all students. So, for example, I don't know the ins and outs of every lifestyle that you could choose to live. For example, I'm not a woman. Some of you may think I am, that's fine, but I don't know what it is to be a woman. But there's nothing stopping me working with the women's rep and the council, working with other women within the university to ensure that we're campaigning and we're listening to them and doing what they want us to do as an SAC.
Okay, thank you very much. What union-based political activity have you been actively involved in and contributed to? Okay, starting this end, Ed.
Okay, well, I started off my first and second year just working in the Christian Union, the society I'm majorly affiliated with. I then came into being a forum leader. I was then part of Games and Guild that happened that Ben Latham mentioned earlier. And I've been working in the Students' Union helping support societies as the society support worker. So I have a lot of experience mainly from that background within the SU.
Politically within the union, this year when I started my PhD and I got elected to student council in the recent by-election, I set up what is now UCLan's only political society, so that shows I'm very politically active. I've also, when I was an undergrad, been the campaigns officer at the union and sat on council for a number of years, so my political involvement with the union goes back to the very first day of my undergrad degree, and I'm still involved now.
I deliberately left out of my speech experience that I've had in the past. I'm not going to lie, I've never had any political experience with the SU, but I could have gone on about how I've worked in Source for 2 years. It's my 4th year at UCLan. I'm a course rep. There isn't a lecturer on my course who doesn't know who I am because I'm constantly knocking on the door, bringing up issues that students have raised. But I think it's time to stop focusing on the past and focus on the future. There's nothing better than a fresh pair of eyes, and I think that the university and the SU needs a fresh start.
Okay, so I'm new to the student union. I only came across it this year. I wasn't really aware about what facilities the union had. I'm the current president of the International Society. I set this up in September. This society has already promoted integration among nationalities, cultures and language exchange. Also, I've been course rep for 3 years, so therefore I'm used to fighting and defending for our rights and ensuring that we get the best out of UCLan.
Okay. Question from the floor.
Hi there. I'd just like to ask the presidential candidates how they're going to maintain impartiality, especially considering that they have their own affiliations, i.e. Lee Bradshaw with the Labour Society.
I'm going to ask for another question from the floor because I think somebody's just taken another question over.
Who's starting? Do you want me to start? Yeah, I'll take that. I was expecting this. So yeah, I am a Christian. I'm not going to hide away from that fact. But I've been working, say, for example, with Interfaith all year. The Interfaith Forum is something I've set up. It's something I'm driving through. So that just shows that I can work with other faiths as well as working and representing the views, like I've already said when we answered the question the first time.
I'm a Catholic, I'm a chair of a Labour Society, I'm proud of both. However, both of those will not impact my impact as president. I will still be involved with the Labour Party and I make no bones about that. However, my role as president is to represent all students that are within this union, and that won't, my personal affiliations and what I do outside of this union will not impact what I do, and I think that's what I answered before.
Yeah, as I said when I answered my other questions, I have no political preference. I've not been involved in the university in any political way. I'm not really swinging towards any religious side. But so I think that in itself is impartiality. But I don't think there's anything wrong with the other candidates having an affiliation with a particular kind of policy or religion. I think that just enhances their commitment and their passion to the students' union and to the students.
Okay, so basically everybody's an individual. Everyone's entitled to their own views, opinions, critiques, whatever. I'm the president of the International Society, so this means that we're international. It's not just one group. It's all cultures, languages. Okay.
Thank you. I will take one further question. Rennie? Yeah?
Hi, for those of you who don't know, I'm the current president of the Students' Union. There's been a bit of bashing about the Student Affairs Committee during these hustings, but I'm not too fast. But one thing that I want to ask the presidential candidates is how do you plan to balance over the next year the sort of need to be sometimes behind a desk, answering emails, writing reports, replying to students, and also being out and about speaking to the student body? Because I think that if I could do this year over again, I'd go out and I'd speak to students more. But sometimes the demands on you as a student union president makes that very difficult. So I'd like to know how you think that you'd be able to bridge that gap. Sometimes people talk about an us and them mentality with the student union president and the student affairs committee. I don't think that's the case, but I do think that the student affairs committee could do more. I feel like we could have done more this year to go out and talk to students, and I'd love to know how you think that could happen. I'm done now.
So the question is?
How are you going to balance the demands of the job with engaging with the membership of the union?
Thank you.
Oh. Well, for me, engaging with the students is my #1 priority. I want to know what everybody else thinks. It's not just about me, it's about everybody else. So it's everyone first, basically. Also, I've had a similar role, and I'm good at managing my time.
Oh, first of all, I'd like to say that I think the Student Affairs Committee this year have done a fantastic job. Every time that I've come into contact with them, they've always been brilliant. And every time that I've spoken to a student in my role as a course rep, they've always spoken very highly of the Sparkle officers at the moment. I think balancing time is always a difficulty in any role, but working as the student union president, I think it's important to make sure that you're. Sorry.
I understand exactly where Rennie's coming from, because I was the campaigns officer a couple of years ago, and I understand that work balance is really hard. But I think it's important that engaging with students, but as president, the job is also engaging with the university and making sure that the views you get. So you do have to balance that really well. And having the experience of being on the SAC before, I think I know that balance. I've done the job in a different role, incidentally, but I understand what that balance needs, having done it before. Thank you.
Thanks for asking. I've used my head on this issue. I believe in the art of delegation, and I also believe passionately about volunteers within the union. I'd like to make up a team to be acting on my behalf and working with students, whilst at the same time setting up this mobile SAC, which is in my manifesto, which doesn't always have to be staffed. You can have comment boxes, emails, and I'd like to promote that further, making sure that my office hours are as accessible as me actually walking around the streets and campus.
Okay. That concludes the hustings for President, and I'd like you all to give them a round of applause.